we're not having First Friday downtown. You Mike, you wanna talk on that? We're not having First Friday downtown. Oak Street's having First Friday, but as I mentioned the other day, we were talking about who does what, and y'all remember I said there's a few people sometimes doing a lot, and it gets the open women sometimes, so we gotta take a step back and relook at it. But they are kind of, yeah, they're moving around right now trying to figure out.
That's why I was like, you got me for a few minutes.
Y'all trying to figure out a better way to do that, and like I said, go back to that last question, who y'all listed? Yeah. Economics, that's nice, okay. That's part of economics, so we need to have First Friday.
Right, that's what I'm saying, so which one has priority? This or First Friday?
It's all thing, you want your certificate?
You said one.
Yeah, you gotta get something coming in. Come on now.
Okay.
Well, I mean, hey. And with me, the Simmons get down here. And then we'll get started. All right, so this is what we call the directors panel for Whitcross 101. And like I said, this is a moving target, so we try to make an adjustment. We're gonna go ahead and live stream this portion in case anybody watching. We have people asking questions the whole week about how we put this out. And I keep saying about the communication, we're trying our best. I don't know how else to do it. We did put it out on Facebook. We did talk about it. I think we'll send a text out to those who get the text and the email, but it is not for whatever reason, like some things, it didn't get around the whole community like we wished it to. So a lot of people was who now wanted to come, but we were already at the last day. So we're gonna sit down after y'all give us y'all survey results, and we're gonna determine, like some Ms. Stevens said last night, it's a lot to do in 1 week trying to put out, and so try and do it every month. We know that can't happen, and right now we're probably thinking maybe every quarter. And then we might add a Saturday to it. But we're just gonna sit down and look at some of y'all feedback, and we'll talk to the directors and see what they want to do. And then we'll add a few more things. I don't want to overlap anything that, like, the police got their thing going, the fire got their thing going, so we gotta be careful with that. Maybe we can build on it and have it, the weeks connected. So maybe you start here the week, then you hit police their week of training, and then maybe the fire to end it. And we'll cut some stuff out of our briefing and kind of put towards theirs, if that makes sense. So anyway. So tonight's, what we're gonna do tonight is this free game. When I say free game, say what you want to say, ask what you want to ask. I'm gonna step out a little bit because although I got full faith in my team here, if they want to say something, I don't mind them saying it, but I do want them to feel like they can say it openly. For any question y'all might have. And also for those watching, if you got questions, just put it in the comment, and then we'll answer those questions in the comment. And what I'm gonna do, a quick introduction, like a 10-second introduction, and then we'll start the questions. Everybody good? That's fair? And we'll
Being recorded, like visually, or just
yeah, a little bit. Yeah. But if you now if you want to say your name when you ask a question so everybody can see who asked that question, that's fine. Just say, hey, I'm citizen Kim Stevenson, I'm asking this question. All right. I'll pass the mic around. Okay. Yeah, so I'm gonna release the mic and we can start. Cause they don't know what you do actually. Cause when I showed your definition last night, no, y'all got that right, didn't y'all? Y'all got that right. No, Mr. Hargrove got it. He had a cheat sheet. So I don't know what he was doing, but you can go ahead and start. So introduction, what you know, who you are, what you do, and we'll go down the line.
Pull the mic towards you. Just
I'm Laura Dixon, and I'm with the Downtown Waycross Development Authority.
I'm Matt Elwell. I'm the interim public works director.
Yeah, I'm Greg Smith. I'm the finance director for the city of Waycross.
I'm Jim Blackburn, and I'm the interim fire chief.
Tommy Cox, police chief.
Maria Mata Diaz, senior code officer.
and my title is longer than everybody's up here put together. I'm Patrick Simmons, Director of Business Integration and Information Systems.
Yeah, and let me say something real fast before we start, because they just said interim. That's actually not a real word, because if something happened right now, you getting fired because you are. You know what I'm saying? I'm honest about that. So let's not say interim no more. You know, I understand how you said that, but you know, you could never say that outside of other organizations, because you got the full responsibility of the person signing the job, and you're getting kind of paid for it, not kind of paid for it. But anyway, so who's gonna start first? Somebody start first. I mean, you got some questions? Y'all have questions all the time. Don't be quiet now. Y'all don't want the finance director to start talking, because I give him this mic.
Welcome them first. We're glad you all are here with this pilot program, and we're hoping that the citizens get to learn a lot. I know I have learned a lot thus far, you know, knowing about the responsibilities and everything, but as far as questions, not right now.
Let's do this then. Y'all get them y'all biggest challenge, and what direction you want to go in, how we're gonna get there. Can we do that?
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, okay. With downtown, I'll start with a positive note. We've had a lot of growth in the past few years. I know a lot of people see some of the older buildings, some of the buildings that have not been taken care of, some of the ones that have not been renovated yet, and they're all wondering, what are we going to do? What's happening? I want to ensure you that we are trying on all ends on that part. So any questions you have for those buildings, I would be happy to answer there. I guess the biggest obstacle, if that's a good word, right now that we're having is getting more citizens downtown. You know, to shop local. You can come downtown, you can, you know, buy your outfits, you can buy your car insurance, you can make a candle, you can eat dinner. You can absolutely do all kinds of activities in one afternoon. Specifically, like tonight, we have the downtown sip and shop. Several of the businesses are open, including a lot of the restaurants, where you can come and shop, and you don't even have to buy anything. Just explore their inventory and see what they have. You may know someone that would be interested in what they have to offer. It's just about coming out and supporting local. That is our big message right now, and kind of where we're having to navigate our economic development for downtown is how can we get you to come downtown and interact with your neighbors, your friends, your family that own these shops, and help support them. So.
I know a lot of people online had questions about the Lyric Theater.
Mm-hmm.
Could you address kind of what is happening at the Lyric?
Absolutely.
What, Laura, if I may, can we hold that? Because we're actually going to do something tomorrow, talking about the Lyric.
Well, I'll give a brief thing. What was happening, a lot of people had the usual social media, you know, a headline gets put out, it goes out like wildfire. You can't really control that. It is not being torn down. A lot of people have had that concern. And like he said, we're going to go into more detail, so I'll hold some things for that tomorrow. But just to, you know, pause any concerns is that they were taking down the HVAC unit. It was falling apart after the hurricane and the snow came in. It was causing damage to the building next to it. So we were getting that taken down. But there is definitely plans for the Lyric moving forward, and we're trying everything we can to save it as much as possible.
Director Simmons, is it a video? What we doing tomorrow to talk about this? Or we just gonna?
It'll be live stream. I'll make a post in the morning with the time.
Okay.
And how many available spaces do you have for rent that are down there? What are the kind of sizes, and who do people get in contact? Will they come get in contact with you in order to rent a space in the downtown district, or do they need to go through a realtor?
So they don't. You're more than welcome to reach out to a realtor, especially if you know one in the area. Absolutely. If you aren't sure of who to get in contact with, my office is always open. My office is located right there at the train depot at 315 Plant Avenue. In downtown, you have plenty of office spaces between us at the depot and the Phoenix, there's office spaces available for rent. There are a couple of storefronts currently available. One is for sale, two others are for rent. Other than that, if there's not a business in it, it is because the building is not available or up to code, as we would like to call it right now. But definitely, if anyone's interested in any space downtown and they're not sure where to start, my office is always a great first place to start. I would be happy to help anyone.
Thank you.
Well, in Public Works, I would say, right now, one of our biggest challenges is we've got a lot of new leaders in the organization. We had a lot of retirements in the past 6 months that I've been here. Well, I've been here longer than that, but in the past 6 months, we've had a lot of turnover of seasoned. Obviously, the director, James Smart, retired after 33 years. We had every manager and supervisor that's currently there is new in that role. So it's just getting their feet under them, learning their responsibilities, and what their respective areas are, and making sure it's done correctly and with top quality. So it's a growing pain that every organization goes through. Ours just happened to all happen at one time. So, but we have a great workforce, and everybody pitches in and helps each other. So, we're doing really well, and I'm proud of the work that those guys do, guys and gals do day in and day out.
Again, I'm Greg Smith, the finance director. I'd say one of my biggest challenges is balancing the budget, and of course I don't do it by myself. Our department compiles the information, gets the information from the various departments, and we put it together, and then we decide what's going to go in the budget, what's not, and how we finance it. That's a big part of it too. But like I say, I don't do it by myself. We got the city manager's a big part of that, and each department, they do the best they can to decide what their priorities are in order to get the budget balanced, and part of that is the uncertainty of the revenue coming in. We get real estate taxes, property taxes that come in, and we don't even know what the millage rate is when we do the budget. So we base it based on prior experience, and we just have to estimate, and then sometimes we have to adjust our expenses if the revenue's not there.
And I have a question for the finance director. Not a question, but a comment, because we all did review the whole charter. I think y'all looked at it in detail. There was a portion in there about how the budget is done. We kind of talked on it briefly. Fiscal year versus annual year. And I have been thinking about, because the finance director just said, the way we do it right now, we always will be in that situation where we don't have all our taxes bought in. And it's always a question, and we are doing guesstimations sometimes. And we got that from the audit and years back, while we always kind of in trouble. So that's one of the things that has to be changed in the charter. It's not home rule. So, but we are considering that. It's going to a yearly budget, and you can do that. If you look in the chart on the GMA website, you'll see that. So those one of those things, when you see it come up, just think about what he just said about by the time we actually do it, we'll start the process. It's still information that has not came in yet, and we're trying to guesstimate from last year, which can make it very, very difficult. But thank you, Mr. Smith.
Hey, with the fire department, we're having some of the same issues as Public Works. At the end of the year, our fire chief retired. We had a battalion chief with 27 years retire. We had a lieutenant with over 20 years retire. So we're just still trying to transition through that. And we got people in different places, but we got a good team, and we're meeting the demands. One thing that's an obstacle right now, or adding to the challenge, is the fact that our call volume is significantly increasing every year. We've had the most structure fires that I can ever remember since Christmas to this point. Various reasons, from smoking to cooking to homelessness to different things. So it's been a challenge as our call volume continues to increase and work through the transition. So,
Well, I'll throw some stats at you real quick. It might spur if you have a question or anything. So I pulled our 10-year numbers down at the police department over the past 10 years, we have seen some good news here, but we've seen a 28% reduction in total crimes. So we're happy about that. We're not so happy about right around COVID, we've seen an escalation in more violent crimes, but we got that coming back down. But one thing that is going up is your financial type crimes, online type stuff, people getting scammed. That's up, but we average 3 homicides per year. Interesting thing about that, what you'll notice, and it'll probably tell you a lot, is when I went back and looked, we have a very high clearance rate. If we have a murder, we usually make an arrest on it. We used to have 1 murder, 1 arrest. Now we've got 1 murder, and you may end up having 4 or 5 arrests. And that's because of some of the gang activity that you may be hearing going on in the community, real young, but usually there's a network there working, and anybody that had any role in it whatsoever gets charged with a crime. So if you're the person that drove the shooter to the location, and so, but that's probably one of our biggest challenges. Matter of fact, it was asked, and I want to say it was the Sheriff's Association. I could have been wrong, or it could have been the Georgia Chiefs. Was asked the number 1 problem facing their counties, and the response, 157 out of 159 counties said youth violence. And so, there's something going on there. Over the past 10 years, we have averaged issuing citations, 2,485 traffic citations. This year, calendar year 24, we issued 2,369 traffic citations. Usually double that number to equate for warnings. So usually 1 for 1. You write a citation, there's a warning being issued somewhere. Now here's some very good news. I was sharing with Duke before we walked in here, because I know it's something that's very important to him and very important to us. But over the 10 years, we average 1,056 accidents inside the city limits. This year has been or calendar year 24, one of our lowest years, 868. Wow. And so, but I think there's a combined effort. I know Mr. Rayford speaks about it all the time. We've started putting little PSA videos out on our Facebook page on various issues, and sometimes we put stats in those, so we try to push the message out the best we can. Usually when you see high traffic citations being issued, there's a correlation with lower accidents. You usually can see that when you look. But accidents, or when it comes to the citations, what dictates that is citizen driven, complaints, somebody calls and says, but it's also data driven. We do mapping every month to see where the accidents are happening, and that's where we tell the officers to go and do some traffic enforcement. It's usually where the speed's at, and where's the speed's at? It's usually corridor Z, and so that's why you always see radar being ran over in that location. Now, our average operating budget over last 10 years, and when I say operating, I ain't talking about benefits or anything like that, just where we do our day-to-day stuff, averages about $589,000. Probably 20% of that is just gasoline in itself. Now, over the last 5 years, we've reduced our operating budget by 24%. And so it's important. We're trying to be as efficient as we possibly can. Any waste, we've tried to go in there and get rid of it. And so over the last 5 years, that's been reduced by over 100,000. 50% reduction in our response time. We used to, when I looked at 2014, our average response time, so if you call 911, when do we show up? It was about 5 minutes. Now it's down to about 2 minutes and 50 seconds. And so We've cut a lot of that off. It's a little bit misleading, not much, because now, in an attempt to save gas, and it's something that we started during the COVID era, we didn't write as many traffic citations during that period. Why? Because we didn't want those contacts either, right? And we were, so the more serious stuff, people would get stopped for. The minor stuff, we was just letting them go. But we always liked the face-to-face contact, but we was like, if there's somebody that's just needing something that's information based, or can you give me some advice, sometimes we just call them if they're not reporting a crime, and that's just to save gas and be a little bit more efficient.
Hey, Tommy, let me jump in real fast because I know Laura might leave. Does anybody have any questions about downtown? Any additional questions they wanted to ask or in the comments? I will ask you to address. Oh, go ahead, Ms.
I was
Bond.
just going to say that I thought the Christmas lights looked great. They were really,
Thank you.
They were really, really nice.
Thank you.
Yes. So I will ask. So we had a conversation last night. Now we had like a little game, and like I asked everybody. So what can a typical? You kind of touched on it briefly, but outside of come downtown and do our events, what can citizens do to really help economic growth, not just downtown, but in your assessment everywhere in Waycross, outside the shop? What else can they do if anything?
Share on social media, tell your friends about different things. There's all kinds of ways to help support the economic growth downtown. And I think a lot of the misconception with downtown, especially because we have two development authorities in the area. You have Waycross, Ware County Development Authority, and then you have the downtown. We do things a little differently. I'm not pulling in big industries down here. Where are we going to put them? We are extremely local based, small business based, and we're starting to figure out, in my time in this position, how can we change what we're doing to help these businesses? And it's been a slow process. I'll be the first to admit that, but we're learning each day with that, and that's where we need the help. I can get out there and scream to you all day long, to come downtown. Whether you're just buying a pen from a company, you never realize how that $5 can go, especially for a small business or a restaurant coming for lunch. There's different ways to help support that. Definitely come to any downtown events. Just like tonight, it's a sip and shop. You don't have to necessarily buy anything, but just coming in through their doors helps. There's Swamp Fest. There's going to be other events. We're playing around with different events to do downtown. What's working, what's not working. So you'll see things kind of come and you'll see things kind of go, but that's because we're trying to adjust and learn. What do the citizens of Waycross and Ware County want to see downtown? What do y'all enjoy downtown? And how can we make that better for you so that you continue to come downtown and support downtown?
Okay, thank you. And we're gonna start. Let Maria say a few things because I know we had a lot of questions about your department last night, and I want to echo something that all the team said. I hope you heard some of the common concerns. Like one is staffing, and what happened definitely beginning here. We already had almost half our staff can retire at any moment, so they can decide to walk in. We've had a few do that, and then they might change their mind once I jump up and down and what are we gonna do? But it does get to a point. They've done a lot. Mr. Smart, Chief Evans, they've done a lot for the city, and eventually you tap out, And one thing we are doing, I appreciate all the team up here. They are building the bench to make sure we have somebody who can step up when it's time to step up. But when you throw in wage inflation, inflation in general, like I said, we have a huge turnover. The summertime, we discussed this during the week. Some of our lowest paid individuals are out in the heat pretty much the whole time. They don't last long. Got to retrain them. Public Works is facing out every year. We facing that. That's just what it is. Chief Cox talked about gas, and I mean, that's my big push this year. We have got to save in gas because during every storm, so what we budget for, we have to go up 50% on, I think, gas because between making sure everything works during those 3 or 4 days during the storm, it takes a lot of gas. And that's something that we never budget for. And that's something that we're going to look at this year, just being predictive because, we're waiting on the reimbursements right now from the storm 2 years ago, and it can be frustrating. So if you're ready, I'm sure you're going to get a lot of questions here. Oh, okay.
I got 2 recommendations for downtown. One, our public restrooms is the issue when people come down there. Sometimes they're porta potties, but a lot of people don't like necessarily using those, but more of a structure that people could use the restroom in when they come to the downtown events. And the other one are the seating like along the streets. So if I wanted to just come downtown and just talk to my friends, I can sit at the Confederate build, like those statues that are over there. And I think there used to be some at Thai Smile, but overall it doesn't feel like a welcome. It's walking, so I can only walk so far. So I feel like, okay, it was kind of over it.
So we are actually mapping out benches tomorrow.
Yes.
So that's kind of what we were talking about. It's been touched on briefly. I went to the county commissioners back in December to discuss our SPOS funding that was voted on back in 2022. And we were trying to figure out ways of how to use that money efficiently. And that was my biggest thing, was improving the streetscapes and making it a more walkable area. And benches are on the top of my list with that. So we're looking at different options for those and different ways we can be creative with those. And we're doing a walkthrough tomorrow with a map to figure out the perfect spots to put those in to where they won't, be in the way of the business owners, but so that everybody, while you're walking around downtown, can take a seat.
So while you're doing that, are you also going to be looking at where some of those dumpsters are that are like right in the middle of the sidewalk and stuff like that? And like there's one particular business who the front of it's really nice, but their back end backs right up onto a street and it looks nasty. So, is that the kind of thing also you'll be looking at? I know it's tough to get trash taken care of down there because it's tight, but some of those dumpsters are like.
Let me jump in too, because I just that's really the city. Man, we talk about road responsibilities. But anyway, that's but that's a difficult problem. We got to have dumpsters down there. I mean, there's no way around that. And we have looked. We've been talking about maybe putting a fence around them and make them kind of invisible. But we are talking about it, and I don't want to keep Lord much longer. But that's being looked at. Don't have a perfect answer yet. So once again, if you are listening and you got a better alternative, please reach out and let us know. We have looked at other cities, how they kind of got set up, where they do have the cages, or maybe it's in like a brick area. But once again, if y'all remember the second night of the course, you only have $500. So just keep that in mind when we say we want things, and everything has a cost. So
I want to talk with the Waycross Department of Fire. I would like to say thank you, because every Christmas I see Mr. Santa Claus on the truck and go around and around the city, and that is a very impressive pictures that I never seen since the day I moved to Waycross. Thank you very much. And I want to know how many streets the truck go by, or how many streets they missed, they abandoned.
Yeah, we do it by district, so each night, so we got 4 stations. So that station's, has a particular area of the city. So we try to ride every street in their area. So for 3 straight nights, we'll do Engine 1's area, which is out Carswell Avenue and out on this side of town, and then we'll go to Station 2. And it's just, Santa Claus operates as long as we're staffed and got no calls going on. Once a call hits and a couple trucks go out of service, we have to pull Santa Claus in, and they have to, go back to covering the station. So we do miss streets. We try not to. We do take phone calls and people request from time to time. But I appreciate you saying that. We started that in the early 90s and have done it ever since.
Just waiting for the music. Yeah, waiting for the music.
We're going to take one more question, then we'll let go.
I actually had a question that involved the young lady that left, but I can apply it to everybody. I know being city department managers, having the different departments, and I see 10 here on the list, I know everybody is focused on a small slice of what's going on in town all the time. So my question would be, is there any way to have more interaction with this young lady's department, the Chamber of Commerce, the development authorities here, to spread the word to shop downtown? Maybe on your rounds when the guys are out doing work, or if you're driving around checking on things, or talking to neighbors after the fire's out? Would there be any way to maybe put out some more of the word that Waycross is here for you, and please try to participate more in what goes on in town? Is there any way to be more synergistic, I suppose, with advertising the town through other departments?
So one of the things in my department is tourism, and the main thing is once a month we have a meeting right here. Ms. Dixon is on the tourism board. She's one of the directors, and we try to bring in all the community partners that have anything going on that month or that year to share that with the people in the room. And usually there's about 15 to 20 people in the room. But tourism also helps support those events. So if you have a festival coming up, you need help with advertising, that's things that tourism can do for you at no cost. We'll eat that cost, whether it's on the digital billboard, you need flyers, yard signs, and we encourage people to share it. And we're really getting more active on social media. Also, our app, we're going to start next week posting the community on the community calendar, posting those events. So if they'll send it to us, we'll post it, and hopefully more people will download the app where they can share that. But we do encourage that share, and that's one of the challenges that we have is people want Waycross to grow, you want new things, but you have to love your city. If a business is going to look at your town and everybody hates the city, then why would they want to come here? So that's one of our goals in tourism, is to make people realize we have to love our city so other people also love our city too and want to open up their business. Then also we have to support those businesses and those events if you want more events to happen. If you have it and nobody attends, then why are we going to have more? If I open up a business and nobody shops it, then why is somebody else going to open up a business? So we have to support our own, and we try to encourage that through different means. But our tourism meetings are open to anybody that wants to come. It's always the fourth Thursday at 10 a.m. in this room, and you can share ideas, give us ideas, because we're funded through the hotel motel tax. We get 40% of that, which has to go to promoting Waycross Ware County. The legislation says that. So we always trying to find out new ways. So if you have if you're interested, you can email me, you can attend any of the community, and the board is made up of 7 community members that the commission chooses to serve a 4-year term, and they have various things. But even just remember the Swamp Park. How many people go to the Swamp Park, and how many people, when visitors come in, say, you need to go here, or Swamp Fest has happened, I'm going to make sure I go down there and spend money and all of those type things. We have more vendors coming this year with Swamp Fest than any other year, but we need to shop them so they'll continue to come back and then maybe think about opening up, relocating here. So it's just important for us as community members to love our community and share that.
Let's let community investment development speak first, and then we'll take some questions. Let her speak first, and then we'll go back to the questions.
Again, my name is Maria. I'm with the Code Department. Our biggest challenge within the department is abandoned properties. We do have a lot of abandoned properties. We do try to contact the property owners, but sometimes there's nowhere to be. They're not where to be found. We do send letters out, and once we don't get no response from them, we'll take the cases to court. But it is a process. And once the city gets ordered to tear the houses down, the city does try to do as many as they can a year. And that's.
How long has that process been? What's the longest it's been for you?
Okay, so it's about it could be 2 years.
Mm-hmm. So
Yes.
I've been here 2 years, and we still working on 4 houses right now, trying to.
Yes.
So it is once again, I go back. The process is in the charter, and we got to change the process. Same thing with the judge on how he or she handles certain cases. We got to do better at that too. But like we discussed this whole week, it all starts with our charter. So it needs a little bit of revision, but just so everybody knows, it's not like we're sitting on our hands and not trying to get these properties knocked down, but it is a double-edged sword, because once we knock the property down, we do what? It loses value.
Yes,
So-
and the city does put a lien on the property, but it's hard to get that money back, especially if, the owners are dead and there's nobody that will take responsibility of that property.
Yeah. And then once it loses value, and another problem, then it starts growing grass, and then who gets the phone call? Then so now we out here cutting all these extra properties that we really not staffed for. So it just I hate to say compound interest, but it is. So that's one of those things that we definitely got to figure out moving forward. It took me a few months to figure out myself, and you know we're really trying to, I guess, crack the egg on this, because it is not just here in Waycross, it's everywhere. We're just an older city with older properties. But once we figure that out, you might have heard the last meeting when Mr. Hawkins stated we're going to look at our zoning, setbacks, all those things, 'cause that's part of it too, as far as getting those abandoned properties or unknown properties, because it's a little difference as far as getting them identified and getting some work on there. So what I'm going to do now, just want to throw a question out there, then we're going to let them the audience speak again. So both chiefs, if y'all could just, you know, once y'all get the mic back to y'all, just tell the citizens how they could help make your jobs easier. You mentioned Chief Black about the fires, and you said you touched on a little bit. A lot of that is what I call end user vulnerability. It starts there. Mostly all end users starts there. And then Chief Cox, you kind of touched on your frustrations a little bit, but what can a typical citizen do to not to make it easier, but to help your job and our officers' jobs out? But I'm gonna stop there. Does somebody have a question when I started talking again?
Someone had a question on Facebook.
Okay, what's that question?
So the question on Facebook is, the salaries do not add up to the work that is required for the job descriptions at the city of Waycross.
So if that's coming from a citizen, okay. I've said this many times before. That our whole team is underpaid, and we're not unique in that situation. All cities are facing this challenge right now. You heard me talk about the CPI model, how you deal with that. All of our salaries, well, most of our salaries are paid with what? Tax dollars. If we don't raise tax dollars, we can't really increase salaries. And that's why, you know, once again, y'all heard me say this, those who've been here each night, I give the Commissioner grace, because that is a hard pill to swallow for citizens. Because most of our revenue that we generate, you know, is going to our wages and our benefits. And insurance, right? And insurance. So that's a big part of it. So to do those things, it is easy to say, pay the fire more and pay the police more. That's the easy way out, you know. But to sit down there and put it on paper, which y'all have done this week, you know, I could have easily took each staff and say, how many here now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. You got $400. What staff ain't getting paid or getting underpaid? And I tell you right now, of course, everybody could be paid more. You know, that's the first thing. But some of our employees that on the lower end, you know, they make a lot less or affected the most. You know, so you know, that's just the reality. So we try to do other things, other initiatives. I give the directors flexibility on a lot of things, because it's not up now, but one of those areas of priorities was, do y'all remember what it was? Morale, workforce morale. So I give them a lot of flexibility, get creative, time off, comp time, you know, overtime. Overtime is a big cost for me. I don't discourage it, but I asked them to manage it better this year, because, you know, we all know we had 3 storms last year, pretty much, and that was massive overtime and gas. And I don't want to make this a complicated answer, but to the audiences, we recognize they could all be paid more, but it's just not that easy of me just finding magical money. It's gotta be generated from some kind of revenue source, and right now that is taxes. So the question will always be, citizens of Waycross, if your taxes go up, and I'm trying to be transparent, I'm telling you every day where it goes. You know, it's, you know, legally, and we didn't touch on it much on the budget. That's an account that it can't be messed with. It has to go there. You know, so hope that answered this question. I know it's not the answer they want to hear, because typically we'll figure it out. We're trying to figure it out, but the answer is we gotta increase taxes. It's point blank. So, any more questions before we go back to the? Okay.
I have 2 questions, but I don't know if this gentleman or this lady can answer. Number 1 is about tourism. When the first I moved here to live, maybe to the rest of my life, I see something that is different from where I used to live in California. In California, when we have the season, people open the farms to tourists. They open the farms, cherry farms or plum farms or grapes farm, they open. And I see that we have many farms here, blueberry, blackberries. Why we don't do that? Because I don't see tourists here. That's number one. Number two is about raising chickens or ducks at home. Do we allow to raise chicken to have eggs? Instead of we have to go to the market, and now you know that the price so high, very high for the family. So do we have in Quaycross, do we have the right to raise chicken? Thank you.
So I'll take question one, and then I'll let Maria take the second question. So we have done, with the State Department of Economic Development, which handles tourism also, we have had agro-tourism meetings to discuss how we can encourage farmers to do those things, whether it's blueberries. You know, we have a lot of, like you said, a lot of farms in Waycross, but we have to get the farmers to buy into it. We would also love to have something or some processing where, you know, you could actually get to see how it operates. So it's a matter of just getting our local farmers to buy into that. But we have had discussions on how we could increase our agritourism. But again, it all falls back to the owners and the farmers of increasing that. But we're open to supporting it and making it happen, but they have to buy into it too.
Isn't there a liability issue though? Isn't there a liability issue too for them in terms of insurance for where people come in? They have to have restrooms. They have to have certain things.
Yeah.
So
I'm
that,
sure there's
that affects a lot of it.
Yeah, there's always an extra cost to it.
Yeah.
But we just have to figure, and they have to figure out, really, it's not even us, because again, they have to open up their business, but figure out how it's profitable for them.
Mhm.
And that's the main thing, figuring out how they can operate that.
That was what kept her from doing. She had a goat farm. That's
Right.
what kept her from doing it, was the liability and the cost of having public restrooms and all
Right.
those kinds of things.
I visited several farms in Waycross. One is Moore's Farm out in Ware County, and they have U-pick season, and there's some other farms that have a U-pick season. I just think that it's one of those things that if you lived here long enough, somebody tells somebody who tells somebody, but they don't really have to advertise because the amount of people that come out, that go out and actually participate. So I'll share with some of those with you after the meeting, but I think agritourism is big in Georgia, and it really could be a great thing that brings people to our area to kind of participate in the agricultural scene.
And I think some of it is maybe what she's referring to is some of the processing part of it, not just the picking, but how is, you know, whether it's blueberry juice or whatever is made from that product, if we could do some of that demonstration. But again, the farmers have to buy into it to make that happen.
Now, the Moore's Farm, they had field trips out there for the school system. However, you have to fill out, the, what do they call it? No, it's, you know, like the permission forms and everything for them, for the kids to go. Yeah, for the students to go. But they do have that service, but it's a process. And, you know, you have to go through the school system and everything to get that done. And it's usually the second graders, I believe, that normally does that. But it has to go along with the curriculum before they can approve it.
And I believe the school board has an agreement already with that. So they have a liability waiver in place. I came back and led the conversation, but that's one thing would be the waiver process. And I kind of mentioned that before about why we can't do certain things for the city because of the high insurance premiums that have peaked up this year. I mean, we are a new territory with insurance costs. I mean, I didn't get a chance to touch on it as much, but that is a factor to everything we're going to do moving forward. It's the insurance costs.
Okay, yeah. Your question about raising chickens in the city limits, yes, you can, but it depends on the size of your property. It has to be a certain distance. I don't remember exactly how far from your neighbor, and then the number of chickens that you can have. Yeah, it depends on the size of the lot. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Let me jump on that too. That was one of the, like if you made the last meeting when Commissioner Nelson asked about looking at our setback rules, that's part of the question he was asking because his district is on the border with the county a little bit, so they do have the chicken walking across the road discussion. So that's gonna be part of it too. It's a zoning question as well. So it's being worked, and as I said again, once we have those meetings, I encourage citizens to come. Mr. Simmons talked about tourism board. I'm a board member too, kind of, sort of. So I don't make it as much as I'm supposed to. Do we live stream those?
We do not.
Yeah. So I know it's a board decision, but as we are realizing, when we do these meetings, typically during daytime, nobody can really come. Maybe nighttime either. But so it's a happy medium. We've tried Saturdays, but it's limited then too. So maybe live stream is the only way to really get information out to everybody. So we'll keep trying to do that. Did you have a question, ma'am?
Yeah, I was asking, can you revisit those dates for us? The dates of those meetings? I didn't.
Oh,
get it.
sorry. Tourism meeting is the fourth Thursday monthly at 10 a.m. in this room, in chambers. And I can mention it to the board again about live streaming, like Mr. Rafer said, that is kind of a board decision, but I'm open to live streaming you can look around, we've increased our technology here, so we are capable of doing that now. So I mentioned it to them again about that.
Okay. I want to let the two chiefs kind of answer the question I want them to kind of address, because we do want to make sure the public is aware, what they can do more of or less of to make everything work better here in Waycross. And we'll start with Fire Chief.
So one thing that I'm passionate about personally is, and it's direct correlation with code enforcement. They talked about the vacant houses. The last firefighter death we had, 2011, was in a vacant house. So I'm passionate about that, so it's a direct coalition. So it goes back to with Chief Cox as well. If you see something, say something. You hear that all the time. So if you're around a vacant house and you see somebody, living in it or milling around in it, make that contact with the law enforcement so we can get that stopped, because that's one thing I'm passionate about. But last year we put up 55 smoke detectors. That's something I don't know if everybody knows we do that. We have smoke detectors. We will provide you with a smoke detector in your home. Do what now? Batteries. With batteries. We'll give you batteries. Matter of fact, all of them are now the lifetime lithium ion batteries. So we will come put a battery, ma'am, just inside the city limits. The county does the same thing. The county fire department do the same thing. So if any citizen calls the office and talks to Miss Lisa, we'll send a fire truck out. They will put them up. You don't even have to do it. We will provide the smoke detector and come put them up. So
is that for everyone or just seniors, or is it for everyone?
Everyone? Our policy says that we'll do it for senior citizens, but I want everybody to have a smoke detector. So if you don't have a smoke detector in your home, we're going to put a smoke detector up.
Well, let me interject something. I'm in the county. But my fire alarm went off and I could not unscrew it or whatever.
Right.
I'm sorry. And actually, I did call. Actually, I contacted the wrong fire department. I went to the city and they directed me to the county. But let me just tell you this. So they were gracious enough to come to the house and they changed the batteries, and I had 4. And they changed the batteries in all of them. And I'm forever grateful, because I would have had to climb up on a ladder, and actually the one that didn't unscrew don't unscrew. You have to yank the whole thing down. So it was difficult. So kudos to the fire department, and on behalf of them and on behalf of you, thank you for what you do.
Thank you.
And it's greatly appreciated. So thank you for that.
Just real quick, I want to mention one thing we do. You see us twice a year in the city fire department. We do a boot drives. We do one that supports the Fallen Firefighters Scholarship Foundation, and we give that money goes to some seniors at Ware County High School. The second one is for the Georgia Firefighters Burn Foundation. A percentage of everything that we raise, the Burn Foundation gives us that back, and that's how we buy smoke detectors out of that. That's one of the ways we were able to buy smoke detectors and provide them to the community. So your donation to the boot drive, one of the boot drives, provides smoke detectors throughout the community. So,
Chief Cox.
Okay. Probably one of the, if we're talking about helping in the community, probably one of the biggest issues that we have is a lot of times people just do not want to get involved for whatever reason. A lot of times, and one of the things I always hear is people is afraid to come forward because they are afraid of retribution and afraid they're going to get hurt if they speak. But there's a couple of things that really everybody needs to know is we have something called a community automated tip line, which you can call that. That's confidential. Nobody will ever know about it outside of the people that need to know, which is us. And even if you call 911, you can tell them you want to remain anonymous. and you'll remain anonymous. It was like I'd pulled up. I wasn't just scrolling through my phone a while ago, just goofing off. I was actually looking for a Facebook post that I did about 3.5 years ago. We had a shooting, and we were seeking help. Nobody wanted to come forward. There was a lot of people there present when it happened. So I took one of the crime scene photos, and I posted it on Facebook. And the photo was crime scene tape, and inside that crime scene tape was a baby stroller. I didn't say nothing about the baby stroller. I let it speak for itself, but we were asking please, you know something, you got to come forward. But a lot of time it's out of fear. But those sources are available out there where you can report it, and nobody will ever know about it, and it's all confidential, and that's probably one of the best resources. And people do use it, but it's we try to push it out on social media all the time that we've got a community automated tip line, and people can remain. So I'd say that's probably number one thing. It's just to remind people, this is our community, it's all of ours community, and we got to, one of the media messages we always say when we do a PSA a lot of times, we say, be our partner. Be our partner in reducing accidents. Be our partner in this. Be our partner in that. Because we know it's a community effort. Police department's only going to be as successful as the relationships we have built in the community. And so it's one big effort.
And as I move the mic around, if Chief Cox could mention the autism program one more time for everybody, just so they know how to get enrolled in that.
Yeah, we do have something called Edwin's Gift, and you can just come down to the police department. Normal business hours, 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, from 7 to 4, Monday through Friday. And just tell them you want to sign up for, we call it Edwin's Gift, evaluating disabilities while in need. And it's just not limited to the autism, but it could be reference somebody who has any disability that would disrupt, let's say, communication. Yes. And that could be a barrier in social interaction. And you would fill out, it's almost like an application, but of course you give us a picture, height, weight, that sort of thing. And you also give us cues like what sets that person off. I mean, we've got some right now that's been very successful. The child won't listen to nothing. However, if you offer him a piece of candy, he'll do whatever you'll say. So a young man runs off from the house because he has those disabilities. He's running, we're chasing him from pillar to post trying to catch him. And then somebody pulls up beside him. Hey, you want a candy bar? Yes, sir. Open up the back door, jumps right on in, takes them back to the house. You'll get things that do not like loud noises, whatever the scenario may be. But when we have that information and they're part of that program, if we interact with them, we're going to know how to have a successful outcome. Okay, I mean, there are some scenarios where, for whatever reason, this person does not will not speak with a man, no matter what. There is no interaction when it comes to a man for whatever reason, whatever barrier has been set up there. If I know that, guess what? I can send a female to go over and do the interaction, and we got a successful outcome.
What's the non-emergency number?
You talking about the cat line?
No, just non-emergency. If they wanted to register for Edwin's but couldn't come into the office, is it something they can do online?
It's not online, but you can call the PD at 912-287-2921, and the main contact for that is Officer Jessica McIntosh. She maintains that database for us.
My question is, a few weeks ago, there was a shooting at Walmart neighbor, small Walmart. But we know about that news from Valdosta newspaper because Waycross police didn't post the news like that.
Okay.
So, great observation. I just want to it goes again about the misinformation sometimes. So, and Chief of Costa touched on this. I think we got to that shooting with under a minute. I mean, I can't remember the exact time. He'll touch on that in a minute. But somebody else did post a story that was about another shooting at another small Walmart that happened a couple years ago, and it spread super fast. So fast that the mayors in the charter role responsibility to go out here and be our news promoter first. So he does all of the promotion for what happens in the city. So we got on top of that. I did call news agencies. I talked to Ms. Pun, everybody, I think that night or the next day. But we do have a hard time, and it goes again about people, trying to put the city in a negative light. They were not trying to sell the story. They were trying to show what we was not doing, and Chief Cosmo passed it to you, but we got there in plenty of time. We all heard multiple stories. There was 50 shots and a gang war and all that stuff in there. And I know you can't go too far in detail because litigation going on, so say what you can say. But we do got to cut down. I'll tell anybody that just sharing stuff that is not correct, because it does endanger their lives. Definitely police and fire. We can't just chance them going somewhere. We had a situation folks was calling in fake fires, and I hate to get on Facebook and address it, but I feel like I have to sometimes because, and I hate to say this too, it is costing us money to ride our fire truck somewhere and there's no fire, and then and another fire somewhere else, and then if you get tired, go to the fire department because they have routes and times they have to stick by. So they got both trucks out trying to be a teammate of the county or Blackshear, and then it gets somewhere else. It causes problems. So just to close it out, we need your help. We all need your help with that. Because again, from yesterday's class, we're all responsible for not just economics, but taking care of each other. And every time somebody does that, it puts somebody's life in danger. Definitely with our first responders, even our public works people. And I know I don't talk about this enough, but I will keep saying this. They are the first responders to any storm. They get out there. I mean, it's a whole team effort, but they go out there kind of first. And then when people making all these calls and certain things, it jeopardizes their situation. So, not to get on my stumping pole, Chief, address that story real fast if you can, much as you can say.
Okay, and most everybody know the arrest, was made in that fairly quick, but and we do like to get the word out there and on what's happening, but it takes us sometimes a little bit of time. I talk about that particular situation. We go there. Our first thing is to go to the victim, but it doesn't end there. We go in there. We're checking on employees. We search the whole location because we go there under the assumption that you have an active shooter in there. Okay. And when you hear active shooter, their purpose is to create just a high body count as they possibly can, indiscriminately, don't care who it is. So we go in there. That's what we're going in there for. Go in there to rescue the victim, rescue employees, look for employees, look to see if there's anybody else is in there. Now you're worried about the parking lot. Is there some sort of device set up? Several things. So by the time we get to the point where we can give the community something that's worthwhile to maybe educate them on what's going on there, 10 minutes after the event, I'm already getting calls about 10 people dead inside Walmart. And that just wasn't the case.
And I came on top of that, and I started explaining. I'm going to say this too. Even Chief Cox gives me a courtesy and calls me sometimes, let me know what's going on. I don't even go to those locations because I don't want to feel like an officer, because sometimes they feel like they got to come tell me what's going on. So I would tell everybody this too. It's best to stay away. We had that situation too. People was coming to, I don't know, they were still coming to Walmart. We had already identified it was locked down, and I get frustrated, even fired sometimes. People show up. So once again, to keep everybody safe, if you can just stay away and unless you got a family member like you that might be involved, I get it. That's when you need to call 911 or call one of us. But even, like I say, even I stay away. And I try to come back once Chief called me, it's all clear, I'll probably show up. Or when they call me, say all clear with the fire, I'll show up. but I don't want to get in their way. I ask citizens, please get the same courtesy, because sometimes we do get in the way. A wreck on the side of the road, everybody's slowing down and stopping, making it even more dangerous. So, but I'm gonna get off this because you had a question.
And so, well, Chief Cox, you probably don't remember me, but you've been very supportive to my nonprofit organization. Thank you, and to folks in the community. You've had, if you have a chance to do a town hall or something, you're invited. You always come, and I think a lot of people, with you being the chief, that's remarkable. And I think a lot of people don't know that you're personable, that you care, but you're a police officer, and your job is to keep people safe. And so I think, so my question would be, and it's a question that I asked you a couple of years ago, you know, would you be interested in working with other organizations or folks in the community as it relates to building a relationship with your officers and the folks, or maybe have an opportunity to be more visible, not maybe in person, but vocally? Because I don't think a lot of people know that. And so I think it's a trust issue when it comes to even the tip line. Because I had a community event in Garlington Apartment. It was the community resource fair. I invited CORE out, and the Department of Health, and Commissioner Solomon Gaines was the commissioner at the time. So she was on the way. That same day, a baby died, an infant. You probably remember the day.
Yeah.
And all of that's going on, and a shootout happened right in front of the event. The park was like a drive-by, boom, boom, boom. So the observation, you know, what I assessed, how it took place, the reaction from the guests and the attendees, right, who live in the community, and the response, the interaction with the police department when they got there. If you could have witnessed how it played out as it relates to, that's where the separation began, before it was a chance to call or anything, from the fear. And the fear turned into, first it was the fear of the shooting, right? And then it turned into fear of, if the police comes, what it can look like, the terror of that, which they're coming to protect, but they're also coming armed and don't have a relationship at the time. So if maybe an officer that is assigned to that office, to certain communities that are at high risk, can have a liaison and someone that cares, and it'd be more intentionality as it relates to building a relationship. And of course the criminality is important, but that may help, because I think a lot of people aren't aware of that who you are as a leader, the support that you do give. I don't know if they know that the events that are held, yes, the city and everyone governs it, but it's your signature, it's your authorization. You supported many events that I've had. Folks have been vaccinated, gotten gifts, that, you know, whatever support they've needed during COVID-19, is because of your support and making sure that we have access to these locations to do that.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Let me, yeah.
That's my question. Are you still?
Let me jump in there real fast. That was a great question. So, yes, he is still doing a wonderful job. But we will say this. One of the things when I first got here and I sat down with the directors and I asked them a few questions on what they expected out of me. And it's been different city managers here, so we all got different approaches. But we did want to reach out, and Chief already had a outreach program. But I think one of my first big things was the young man that, I'm not going to say names, doing this session here, that does the big events and brings a lot of people from out of town here. And the first time it was rough, because I didn't know the sheer numbers that were coming to Waycross to have fun. But we did end up speaking to the young man, and one thing I did learn, when that happens, there's a lot of people from out of town. So it's not necessarily our people doing stuff, but when you bring people from Atlanta and Florida, and I'm not criticizing any group of individuals, but a lot of people in a small enclosed space creates problems. So we do talk to them. I talk to them all the time about that, because once again, everybody owns the problem, not just commerce and economics, but even stuff like that. So I do feel like, because as Chief mentioned, our crime has been down, and that's been part of it, talking to everybody. And I'm gonna give Chief the floor on this, but I do want to answer a few questions online real quick, because somebody I think asked a question about Corridor Z. Is it on there? Yeah. So let me say that real fast, and because no, this is a conversation, and I don't want to speak too much out of this, but the trains. So in conversation with the trains, they're not supposed to block every single crossing, and the conductor, not the conductor, the forget my roles and responsibilities. Is the conductor? No, who's in the rice yard directing the trains? I forgot. Yeah, I'm having a brain cramp. Anyway, they're not supposed to. If you think about all the way down, Arthur Davis coming toward the rice yard, Broadway's coming toward the rice yard, they're not supposed to block all of the intersections. So you might have a train that stopped, offloading, reloading crews. It's supposed to be 2 crossings open in each way, if that makes sense. Yeah, and I actually, if you don't know, and it's a hotline on there. I call all the time if they more than 30 minutes, because they're supposed to change over. They're supposed to be there at the rice yard, change out, jump in, and keep going. Sometimes they don't do that. Don't get me wrong, stuff happens. But they're supposed to have at least 2 openings available. Now, back to that question, I think. I've been here 2 years now, and I do feel like, once again, if you leave on time, we know we are a trained place, you still can avoid the train, even using Corridor Z, because it's going to be 2 crossings. I know people who don't live here or be here for, who've been here a long period of time might not realize that, but I think we probably got to figure that out too. We've been talking more with the train company. Mr. Simmons, that's his job, one of his jobs. Of course, both of our safety officers, that's their job too. But he's in coordination with, I'm bad with names. Craig, what's Craig's last name? Mr. Cruzman, about doing better by our citizens with these trains. I did put out a couple weeks ago, if y'all cannot see, and I say this again, they are, right now, the plan is to improve all of the crossings. So once again, they're not putting down double tracks. I keep saying that, being out there. There are no double tracks coming to Waycross. What they're doing is replacing the old tracks with new tracks. So they got to put them on the side, align with them, take the rocks up, the cement up, take the old tracks out, put the new tracks in, and then resurface it. That's what's going on. We don't have a timeline, so y'all might wake up tomorrow morning and it might be a crossing blocked off. So we can't tell y'all that. I'll just be honest with you, unless you're going to count on me right now.
Well, actually, we made a post about a week ago.
Okay.
They did give us a timeline. They want to make periodic posts, but like Mr. Rafis said earlier, it's really important that you follow the City of Waycross Facebook page. If not saying we'll post it first, but we'll post it right. So check our page for that. If you're not following our page, also download our app. If you're not doing that, if you do email, you can go to our webpage and sign up for our bi-weekly email blast. And we try to put all of that information so you can share it with your neighbors. I know everybody's not on social media, but if you are, you can share it with somebody else. Yeah. And that's the only way. We have 3-4 avenues. We have a Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, app, website. I mean, there's multiple ways to get the information, but share it, and that's most important.
And last point on that, this is about safety again. I know I'm a bad with this. I stop my truck a lot of times and just get out and start talking. If you're gonna stop and talk to the employees fixing the track or doing whatever, please do not stop. Let me think of a road. Definitely not on the main, not Memorial or anything like that. But any side street, if you can just pull in there and park somewhere else, and then maybe walk across the street, being safe, they don't mind talking to you. But do not stop on the side of the road and get out your car and leave it running to talk to them and see what's going on. Once again, it can endanger their lives. So they are very informative. Those whole teams. That's where I get a lot of my information from. And every Saturday, that's part of my battle rhythm. I go find who's ever working on the train, and we talk a few minutes. Then we put out information that we can get from them. So, but once again, keep everybody safe. The main problem is stopping on the side of the road and get out of your car and just leaving it there. Unfortunately, and Chief Costa going to maybe hit on this a little bit, people can't see a stopped car in front of them. I don't know why. Maybe the light's not on and the brake lights. Well, I won't talk about the phone. I want to be positive in the day. But some of our accidents are from cars just stopped for whatever reason, and people not recognizing that they're stopped. So, all right. Somebody had a question or comment?
It's really just a comment. I just wanted to say something else about this posting on Facebook all the time. So when they had the shooter scare out at the high school, because I work at the newspaper, I walked in down Victory and in the thing with a lot of parents. and they're all on their phone wanting to get information. And so as it escalated and people gave false information, those parents were terrified. They didn't know what was happening to their child. They weren't getting that. School was doing their best to send out emails, but the people who were posting with false information caused so much terror and anxiety for those parents that I think if people could just stop and put themselves in other people's shoes, even with the Walmart shooting, people posting like that and they know that their spouse or their child just went to Walmart, if you just think about someone else instead of your need to do that, it would be so gracious to those people.
All right.
For the chief, when you call 911, everybody on my block has scanners. And so sometimes it's difficult to call in with something that's actively going on. I've seen it happen where I've called and then I could see them like, hey, the scanner's going off, they're on the way. What way can someone call in and something is happening in their neighborhood and kind of, I don't want to say remain anonymous, because I don't mind people knowing that I called after the fact, but I think that it impedes what the final goal is if everyone can hear what's going on when it's being reported.
So hopefully, and this is in the future, and this is part of our the most recent SPLOST, one thing that we have in there is to go ahead and completely put our radio system on a digital, which means that scanners won't be able to pick it up. Okay, but until that day comes here, there's nothing wrong with calling 911 and asking if 911 can give the officer your number to call you and to speak with you directly on it. And all you got to do is just tell them, say you don't want to put it over the radio, and just used to happen all the time with loud music. People, turning up jam at 2 o'clock in the morning, and they would have a scanner, and they'd hear police dispatched. What would they do? If we get there, the radio's turned down. As soon as we leave or get out of the area, it's right back up, and it was all because of the scanner. But in small circumstances like that, we would always, just we'd keep it off the radio, and we wouldn't dispatch it and let nobody know what we was doing.
So we have posted your commissioner's phone numbers, and that's why y'all got their phone numbers. You can easily call them as well, and they probably call me. And then we got an analog system. So what Chief Cox says is a digital system, and we're modernizing our system. That's Mr. Simmons leading that too. We started here internally in the building, but we are going to reach out to all other services. But that's another way. If you can call analog, and there'll be 2 phone calls. Now I might know who you are calling, and maybe your commissioner, but I think it's important that you do have a relationship with your commissioner, that you can call like that. It's definitely if it's something like very important. Loud music, probably not. I'll just, and it goes again too. I keep saying this. I do need everybody to like really prioritize those types of calls, because I don't want to. I hate to keep saying we wasting money, because we're not wasting money necessarily. But like Chief Cox just said, it's been some cases I've done it mistakenly too. Send them over there 4 times for something, and in some cases we're not gonna catch nobody with loud music, unfortunately. I mean, but we try to focus on the higher priorities, and you heard me say we only have I think 5 cars out on 8-hour shifts at a time, and they're doing a lot, So once again, we need help with that. That's one of the areas we need help with, and it's the indie citizen. I mean, just be respectful to your neighbor. It ain't that serious. With technology now, if you want to blast your music, put them headphones on, and it sounds much better. I don't know why. Well, I don't know why nobody would have loud music anymore. It makes no sense because the sound quality, just compared to having headphones on, is totally different. Somebody had another question.
If I may, so Chief Edens at the time, but we created a sort of a general. So in our app, you can report an issue, whether it's a water leak, power light out, but we also created a general for non-emergency. Hey, music's too loud. Where you can go in and post that and go directly to real time. Captain Hersey, right?
No,
Major. I'll get the titles wrong. Major Hersey. But for those non-emergency calls you want to make, you can remain anonymous, or you can put your information in. But that's another way of reporting it, where it doesn't have to go to the scanner. So tomorrow I'll make sure I post that and kind of share it to remind people of those options for both non-emergency fire issues. You know, whether somebody's homeless living in an abandoned house, you want to report that but don't want to call it in, or music's too loud, or whatever it is, as long as it's people to remember not the 911 emergencies, just those non-emergencies issues that you need to report.
Okay, one more comment. We getting down on time. I want to make sure that community investment touches on one thing, because once again, some misbeliefs out there. So we do educate everybody when there's a code violation. We do talk to everyone and explain to them where the code violation come from. And
Yes.
can you
we
touch
do.
over that for me real
Yes,
fast?
we actually send a letter out, or we talk to the property owner or tenant, and they do have 15 days to comply. And then after that, we issue citations. But we do go out and we do talk to people, and if they need more time to comply, because I mean, we all understand that people do work and sometimes do need extra time. If we see that they are working on the problem, we don't have an issue working with them and let them, finish cleaning up or whatever the issue is.
And definitely when it's a more elderly more seasoned population, it's been times, and they'll come to me, and then I can give a little more time too. And we try to find them help, because we recognize if you got what's considered old now. I mean, an older person or a less mobile person, and we're talking about grass cutting, they probably not gonna get the grass cut. So we do try to find options to help. And we got not a lot of volunteer organizations, but we do got some that will go cut the grass for these individuals once everybody knows. The problem is a lot of times we don't know until code's coming out. So that's another thing we could do as a community. I think the Southern Region Commission is trying to get a database together of all our elderly seniors, and then this time, because this is a due out from the last storm, we did not necessarily know where those seniors were that we couldn't get water and food to. I mean, we knew through some of our senior statesmen in the East District and some of the commissioners, but there were some people we just did not know, and so they're working on that and some other organizations. So that way, when a storm comes up, at least we know to call. Especially, if we can't call without power, we'll go check on them. So that's one thing we learned from these last two storms that we got to work on better. Does somebody have a comment?
So I guess my question would be for a couple of departments, and depending on, I guess, the ask. So let's just say I have a parcel of land and I'm needing help, say a community garden, and I can't afford the equipment to because it's major equipment, but you guys have it. Or I'm trying to do a community event and I may need bleachers, or I may need a road closure, I may need to borrow cones. Are you guys willing to maybe not loan it like a service program, but are they able to help with things that the community may be working on?
And that's going to be a no. Well, let me say this real fast, because this is another because some people do, tourism can, but depending on what it is. But another question is like our lawnmowers. Our lawnmowers run during the summer months, which means it's actually 8 months out the year. They run it every day, and people always come to, we borrow the lawnmower, can we the backhoe? And well, so for liability, I just remember what I said earlier about insurance and liability. Everybody trying to sue the city. If we gave out a piece of equipment and you hurt yourself on it, we would be liable.
Well, could they do it?
No, we definitely couldn't do any work like that outside there. But we can partner you, like Director Simmons said, with those organizations who can do that type of stuff. So as we did find out during the storm, we have a lot of capabilities that everybody don't know about. And unfortunately, not unfortunately, they did come out during the storm and really help us out with some of our areas, but they are here, and then people do have their own backhoes, and some people got the whole public works department vehicles, and I wish I had known that too, but so it's out there. But what, do you have a question, man?
Yeah, I just want to ask her about the zoning and everything like that. If you had the property, if you got the property and everything, and you go down, to the planning and codes department, and then you get the zoning, and you can't put a trailer, you can't put a home, and there's really nothing you can do with the property, then what do?
You know, like you got the property, you know the owner, and then you got people throwing trash, throwing this, but then you come and you give me a fine, which I always pay. But you know what I'm saying? But I'm not over there. I put the no trespassing signs up. I put all of that. But I still got people putting tires, putting junk on that property. But I can't do anything with it because the zoning laws, I can't put anything on
Have
it.
you request a rezoning for the property?
So you can request
Yeah,
it
you can request for a rezoning. Yes.
to
ma'am.
do something else with the property?
Yes, you
Okay,
can.
and then, but Mr. Policeman, Chief, for like the staffing and all of that, he was saying the other day that we only have so many policemen and all that with staffing. Are y'all hiring or y'all doing anything about that situation to make our community safer in terms of that issue? You know what I'm saying? Because I got kind of concerned a little bit when he was talking about that situation. You know, like so many, like, per shift is on duty at the time. Like if something like really major happens, like she was talking about the Walmart scare and the school scare and the situation. I don't know where all these police be coming from when something do happen, but he was saying like at certain times there's only so many on duty. So are y'all looking into that issue about staffing?
Well, we've had, you know, limited. We've had to learn to be a more flexible police department. Okay, which means that all of us sometimes have to go, have to leave our roles that we may carry. There's an occasions that I go up into the front lobby of the police department and answer calls and take reports and stuff like that. If you know, if everybody's busy, because we had 64 sworn positions. Now, technically, we're down to 50 that we're allowed to fill. One of those is with the codes department right now. Actually, two of them with the codes department. And so, you know, it's like Mr. Rayford spoke earlier. There's only so much money, and there's only, you know, I remember, you know, if I was approached and the city says, hey, we've got all this money now, how many police officers would you like? I'd say, give me 100 sworn police officers. Okay? But it's just not realistic. You can only do with what you do. But we've adjusted, and we've become we have learned how to be more flexible. So the job description, even though I may be police chief, and I mostly work on policies, things of that nature, budget, overall strategy of the department. Doesn't mean I don't step outside of that role. And everybody has had to do that to a degree. And so, right.
But Chief, just talk about, so when emergencies do happen, I just want, this is a question that public asks when they see police cars at the houses. So they take home cars are there for a reason, so when something does happen, they can immediately get in the car and come address the situation. So although we might have 8 on shift, I mean 8 like physically riding around, then if the call goes out, a Walmart happens, then, you know, Chief, he can speak on it. He calls 4 more and they might come in. So that's part of the overtime equation that we do have. So we do, when he says more agile, that's what he's talking about. So, and I'm, you know, I'm comfortable right now. I mean, what we do have, because but the stuff that they have to keep focusing on, I keep talking about, that's really killing us, it is the speeding and all that stuff, because that don't need to happen. You know, yeah, because we got other stuff they should be focused on. So I'm constantly saying that because, you know, speeding is dangerous, and we have lost people just because of speeding. But if we could all just slow down a little bit, it'll really maximize our police force. Same thing with the fires. It'll maximize our fire department, because we'll never get the amount of employees we need. We'll never be able to pay for it with the amount of taxes we collect until we, you know, we all focus on the economics piece of Wake Cross and Ware County. We talked about this week. It's everybody's responsibility, you know. So, and I don't want to. We got a few minutes left. Yeah, we can stay though. I mean, but they on overtime. I keep them too long. So.
Just one more quick question. Because everybody's asking about the Food Lion building, that little plaza. Ain't nothing out there one little building that's open. You know what I'm saying? The Walmart Plaza and this bank here. There's nothing going on. Like, what is the community? Anything? We doing anything
Yeah, so we didn't have a chance to have. Was you here last night? I can't remember. Did you come? Okay, so we had a great class on who does this, and that's not necessarily the city again. That who is that? Somebody answer that for me? Private enterprise. Yes, so it's private industry. And if you heard the key thing that Miss Laura said when she said the distinction between her and Ms. Rumrad was the key word was industry. And I'm not throwing the football away on this, but that is something that he focuses on. She does to a certain degree, and then other private investors, because people own those buildings. And I go back to the land. People own that land, and we do talk to them. That's a subcomponent of Mr. Simmons' job as well, somewhat community investment as well. Some folks don't want to do that with the land or the building. I will say, and I say this to everybody right now, being transparent, you're not going to get $1 million for some of these buildings that you're asking for. It's going to sit there for a long time, and then it's going to decay, and then we're going to. I have been reluctant to do certain things, but I'm down. I'm at that door right now, because some of these properties are becoming dangerous to the citizens, and then we are responsible for that overall. So some things will be happening this year. I know everybody's not going to like it, but you can't let a property just get to the point where it's falling apart and it's endangering people. And y'all know I'm talking about, from some of the buildings downtown. Laura touched on it briefly, but it's come to that point we have to do certain powers and authorities and responsibilities outlined in our charter that we have to protect our citizens. So, all right. Okay.
I know we've touched on this already in a couple of different topics here, but I'm taking your comment about being flexible to heart, and I'm assuming all the departments have to do that these days because of budgets and whatnot, personnel. So we're being flexible enough on things that happen day to day. How prepared is the city for the next major event like Helene? And how does that fit into your being flexible to take care of things?
Well, I can tell you right now, if you have something major like that goes on, shortly thereafter, we're doing a debrief on it, and we discuss it, what went right, what went wrong. I remember maybe a couple of hurricanes ago, just out of conversation, which had to do with Public Works. What issues did we worry about last time? Or what issues do we have last time, of course? Water backing up on the roadways and stuff like that. And so what do we need to do? Public Works went and started cleaning out canals, cleaning out sewer. All that based on what happened, okay, what went bad, what can we do to fix it if it happens again. So debriefing is always involved. Always involved.
All departments, I would assume.
Even something like when we talked about small Martin incident that happened there, the police department will debrief. A short period afterwards, what went right, what went wrong, what can we do better next time. And so,
I know I had a conversation with the fire chief after, it was a few weeks ago, but we're talking about our response to Helene and the hurricanes, and saying how can we, we saw some things that happened, and said now we know we could do better. So how, we've recognized that, so we'll be ready for the next time. We've identified some ways that we can work, cooperatively together to achieve, a better outcome. And I know Public Works, we're focused on a lot of drainage issues, because we know water, obviously that's a big problem. The drainage issues. So we're cleaning. Our focus has been cleaning storm drains because they get clogged with pine needles and whatnot. So that's a big focus right now, is making sure that the drains are uncovered, unclogged. We have the vac truck out there every day trying to do that in preparation, because we know it's going to happen again. And hopefully we get a little bit, cleaned out a little bit more each time to help alleviate that flooding problem. Absolutely. Yes.
Go ahead, Mr. Simmons.
And a couple of things I mentioned, you may have noticed, especially when the snowstorm came in, we try to share pre-event tips. So we're doing more of that, make sure you've got your batteries, your flashlights, some food. But also we're looking at some radio stations that we can either partner with or have the capabilities to broadcast things. We're looking at adding a generator to the auditorium so we can use it as a shelter, because last time we realized there's no power, the auditorium's no good if there's no power. So we're looking at doing things like that. But and the main thing is encouraging people to buy into our streams of sharing information. So we'll try to get it out during, if we have power ourselves, but we're looking at some other ways we can get the message out during the storms.
And one final point, it was a comment made about making this class better, maybe going on tours and stuff. I encourage you, because I drive a lot. My family is not here. My kids are somewhere else, my grandkids. So if you go up the East Coast right now and look at the other cities, they still got trees out. They still got power lines down. They still got a lot going on. So I will put the city of Waycross, the whole team up front here against anybody, definitely with storm recovery. We're going to do certain things well. I mean, great right now in other capacity, other areas. But storm recovery and storm maintenance, I believe we own it. I mean, just as much as you can do for a life one-time event storm. I mean, there's certain things we're not going to be able to do. Like I said, we got Corps engineers coming in because I own this. Some of our canals are not built the right way, and we don't have the ability to affect that. And we're gonna get that done, hopefully with the Corps engineers. But and like Chief said, we sit down, we talk about stuff, what we can do better. One thing is communication, like Mr. Director Simmons said. A lot of folks just we don't know how to reach them. You know, we got the phone numbers, we social media, all this, but you can't come back and say nobody told me, because we were doing it. We talk to the news. You know, we have 4 Jacksonville news people on speed dial right now, and I call them as well and ask them to put stuff out too. Sometimes that costs money, you know, to get a story put on last second, but they normally support us for free. So I feel like our team, I know of course citizens have their own opinions and their right to their own opinions, but we do a robust job of coming to the fight when it's time to come to the fight. And I mean from day one, all day long. And I know everybody can't see that. You just wake up the next day and the road's clear. You know, I would tell you, once I was trying to go back and check on my family, I had to get out my car and walk about 10 miles to get to my house in Augusta, Georgia. And their tax base, I hate to keep saying tax base, but, you know, it's 4 times ours. And they still don't have an in-agreement contract for cleanup. And I'm trying not to talk bad about them. I'm just saying we are well prepared, not just because of what the city's doing, the county, the emergency management. I said Mr. Daniels' name a few times this week. He is on it. He is spot on it. You know, and definitely we have when we have notification. Hurricane, yes, we didn't think it would come right our way, so we did focus on just what we know to focus on, which is going to be flooding, and we can never really prepare for the wind. That's just something we gotta kind of figure out. And I'm gonna close with this too, with the wind and stuff. I've been talking about certain things. I said a tree tax at one point in time, and everybody dumped on me. But I will say this: if my tree is in my house on M Street, and Miss Pond stays on S Street, and my tree goes down, you know, you still gonna be affected. You might not want to pay this tax because it's in my yard, but you're gonna pay for it one way or the other. And when I say tree tax, don't see it as a tax. It's a lot to that phrase, and I'm gonna do a better job explaining that. But we do have a lot of dead trees. Now, there's some regulations behind what we can take down, as far as EPA and national and all that stuff. But there is a problem here with the trees that we do have, and we do got to figure that out. But that's down the road. So I was gonna give y'all some closing comments, but we're already over time. So what I want to do is thank the panel. Like, we got a great bunch of professionals up here. They lead some great teams of men and women here in the city. They work very hard for you. We recognize that by everyone always being concerned about their wages, and we are trying. You know, you heard me talk about the COLA adjustment this year, and a few other things we're trying to do to make sure their pay is comparable with other cities, same size and scope. But to do that, we got to make other adjustments. So we either got to raise revenue or we got to cut expenses. So we're going to do both this year, because I want to keep having them floating this, what y'all going to do. We want to have a consistent COLA every day, because that goes to morale and performance. If they know they got some extra money coming in every year, they're probably going to perform better. Not the reason they performing better, but just incentivize, it's an incentive. So this is it, and we appreciate y'all. Do we have any comments out there in the comment section?
No.
Okay, if we do have some, we'll go back and answer those comments after this fact. So I'm gonna give y'all a round of applause and kudos. Y'all did a great job up here, team. And then as a build on, I just thought about it right now, we are gonna connect this to the police and the fire, and we'll talk about that, how we can connect this week, y'all week, or your 2 weeks, I think. How long is the fire department?
Ours is 6 weeks.
Well, we might do it on the front end or back end, and that way, maybe everything can be better connected. So we'll try that. So
The way we do ours is every Thursday.
yeah. So yeah. All right, and tomorrow is with the mayor and commission. So please show up and make them come out here and ask us some questions because they want to come out here and talk. Ask the hard questions. But I will just ask you anything specific to your district, just do that outside after the fact. But try to ask those broad questions so everybody that's watching or might be listening can kind of get, some feeling from it too. All right, thank y'all.